when I left, we had no problem. There was no Ukraine and Russia fighting. There was no October 7th. There was nothing. And some very poor leadership led to a lot of problems and a lot of death. And it's a shame, but we'll put it out. We'll put out the fires. We have a lot of fires, but we'll put them out.
With the Israeli Prime Minister by the side, the first foreign leader he met in his second term, Donald Trump outlining the problem areas in the troubled region of West Asia. And right on top of the pile is Iran, Trump echoing the same sentiment as Benjamin Netanyahu. And the US president did acknowledge that the Iranian regime wasn't weak.
Iran was in big trouble when I left. They were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas. They didn't have any money for Hezbollah. You had no problem. They became very strong very fast. They sold massive amounts of oil to China and everybody else who would not buy the oil when I was president, because we said, don't buy the oil. And they became very rich very quickly. But they're not weak. They're not weak.
To ensure Iran is weakened, Trump signed the presidential memorandum reimposing his maximum pressure campaign policy that was practiced throughout his first term.
And we will once again enforce the most aggressive possible sanctions, drive Iranian oil exports to zero, and diminish the regime's capacity to fund terror throughout the region and throughout the world.
Trump said he would love to make a deal with Iran, in which case the latter could go off the sanction shackles. But there are strings attached.
They cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. I'm not putting restrictions. They cannot have one thing. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if I think that they will have a nuclear weapon, despite what I just said, I think that's going to be very unfortunate for them.
With Trump targeting Iranian oil, will India take a hit?
US President Donald Trump is a man in a hurry. He's signing executive orders, dismantling old structures, old entrenched interests, and of course creating chaos in the minds of leaders across the globe. So on the one hand, he is threatening Iran with more sanctions and obliteration in case they step out of line and try and develop a nuclear weapon. On the other, he is also telling friends and allies that they must buy more American equipment, or maybe even American oil. And that creates problem not just for adversaries, but also friends, as we have seen in the case of what he has done with Canada and Mexico, as well as the tariffs against China. So some are adversaries, some are friends, but he is churning or creating a churn in the international order. In that respect, what would be India's position when Prime Minister Modi and his team goes and meets President Trump in the White House, as we've seen most likely on 13th of February? Would Trump demand that India stop buying Russian oil or not buy from Iran at all? At one point, Iran used to be amongst the 3 top suppliers to India as far as crude oil was concerned. But then when the Russia-Ukraine war broke out and Russia had spare oil to sell and sell at a concessional rate, India grabbed the opportunity, bought lots of Russian oil, and then refined it in India to sell it to the Europeans. So a win-win situation for India. But will this continue when Trump now demands that India buy more oil from US and lessen its dependence on Russia and maybe Iran if it is revived, if the oil supply from Iran is revived? We don't know. So exciting times, nervous times for some leaders, some countries, but Donald Trump clearly has a strategy in all the chaotic or all the unpredictable decisions that he is taking, cleaning up the government in the United States, trying to send messages all at one time to everyone. And most bizarre, of course, which we can talk about in some subsequent program, is his announcement that US will own Gaza Strip. We don't know how Israel will react to it or has reacted to it. And he did this announcement when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was standing next to him in the White House in the press interaction. So we'll have to wait and watch. But that's what India will have to be careful about, how to balance this dilemma of keeping its relationship with Russia going, at the same time get as much as possible from the United States.